If you've been sued for debt and you already filed an answer to your lawsuit, your case may move into a process that is known as discovery. Hey everybody, it's me Hannah with SoloSuit, and in this video I interview a real attorney named Sarah Wolk, and in our interview we go over the discovery process. So if you've been sued and you filed an answer and maybe you already got a response to your answer, your case may already be in discovery. Here are some tips on how to navigate the discovery process and ways that you can prepare for your court date. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that this video helps. Good luck with your lawsuit.
You touched a little bit on discovery. I don't know if you could give us like a specific example of maybe a recent case you've taken on of like what happens in discovery. Maybe give us, like I said, specific examples of real life cases. Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about what that looks like?
Discovery, generally speaking, is information gathering. It's your opportunity to find out what information the other side has, whether it's what witnesses they're going to call, what documents they have to support their case. And they can also ask you for those things as well. So there's different things you can do here. You can send actual written requests for different things, whether it's information or documents. You can also take a deposition, which means that you're in person actually asking questions of someone. And this allows you to ask kind of follow-up questions on the spot, which is nice sometimes since it can be difficult with written questions to get thorough information. And then there's also subpoenas, which are requests to third parties. That means that a company or a person who's not actually involved in the lawsuit might have information that would support your case or the other side's case. And you can actually send a subpoena to them for them to give you those documents or provide deposition testimony to give you information. Now, there are concerns with discovery, like you asked for examples. So a lot of times there's discovery disputes. This is where a lot of motions come up. So for example, one side might serve discovery questions, written discovery questions, and the other side, let's say the defendant, responds to them. But the plaintiff who served the questions is not happy with the responses. They feel that the responses are incomplete for some reason. So then they would contact the defendant and say, hey, I think you need to provide more information here. This is why. And then the defendant can provide more information or say, I don't think I should have to. And if they have a dispute at that point, then plaintiff most likely would file a motion to compel further responses with the court, and the judge would then take a position, make a ruling on whether further responses are required. So that's something that comes up quite a bit. So that's kind of a good example of something that happened in the discovery phase that shouldn't be that surprising. You don't want to have a motion filed because it's additional time and effort, but it happens. You can also get sanctioned, meaning fined, if you handle discovery improperly with no good reason. So you do want to try to informally resolve disputes involving discovery with the other side. One other thing to keep in mind is in limited civil cases, meaning cases under a certain amount of money, which recently increased to $35,000, but can change. There's a limit on how many discovery requests you can send. If you're in the unlimited jurisdiction, meaning over that amount, then you don't have any limits. So that's something to keep in mind if you're in a limited jurisdiction case as well. So that's kind of the important things that I think are noteworthy, but I'm happy to talk about any of them in more detail or other things too.
Yeah, I guess as a follow-up question, can you think of any recent cases you've dealt with? I know like you've probably heard of LVNV funding, Midland Credit Management. Can you think of any cases maybe with those like big debt collection names where the case has gone to discovery and like how it was handled from there? I don't know if you have any recent cases you've dealt with where that happened.
Recently, I had a client, Susie, who, and I changed her name just because I don't want to reveal any confidential information, and she owed the plaintiff a debt, and the plaintiff served special interrogatories on her and requested just tons of financial information. Now, Susie didn't want to provide the financial information, but because the lawsuit involves a debt, some of it was actually relevant to the case. And so she is required to provide some of her financial information to the other side. However, there are certain things like tax information, tax returns and stuff that are privileged, and you don't have to provide that to the other side. So we did actually have a dispute about that because the other side wanted the information and we said you're not entitled to all of that. And we actually had to go to court and have the judge help us resolve it. And then, they kind of got some information they wanted and they wanted a little bit more. So they then noticed Susie's deposition. So they could talk to her in person and try to kind of get a little bit more information without actually asking for privileged information. And that's kind of how they got around some of the limitations and what's allowed in discovery.
Cool. Thank you for the example. I think it's kind of hard to hear all the time, like the exact court process of how it works without hearing like a real life story. So thank you for showing us what discovery might look like in a debt case.
I really hope that this video was useful, and if you've been sued for debt, I hope you know you're not alone. SoloSuit is rooting for you, and that is why we share conversations like the one I just had with Sarah. It's to help individuals know how to resolve disputes and resolve debts. So if you have any other questions or you want more information, please reach out to us at support@solosuit.com or check out our website. As always, thanks so much for watching and good luck with resolving your case.